FRC Media News for Thursday, March 17th, 2016, and happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone. I'm Donna Mata. On this week's show, we talk with the Executive Director of the Bristol County Children's Advocacy Center to get an update on child abuse prevention. And we also offer some tips on how to ensure college financial aid is made available to students who would like to pursue higher education. On the lighter side, we check out the outcome of two events, a regional science fair awards ceremony and the Chamber's annual Home and Garden Show. But first, let's kick things off by looking at the headlines of this week's Herald News with Will Richmond, Digital News Editor. Hello, Will. How are you today?
I'm good, Donna. How's it going?
Very good on this St. Patty's Day. Well, we have some news obviously happening this week, and economic development seems to be on the table. A federal transportation announcement listed 4 idled projects in the Greater Fall River area you reported, and Route 79 is not one of them, correct?
Well, these are projects that were identified about at least a decade ago for funding, and either they haven't met certain standard points within the design process, or funding had not been used to a certain point yet. So federal government sent out notice that these monies can be reallocated to other projects, and that includes, this is hundreds of projects nationwide,
right? But
it included the 4 in the Fall River area, including the Route 79 project.
But Route 79 is moving right along, according to Ken Fiola at the Office of Economic Development.
Well, this is for the phase 2 of the Route 79 project.
Yes. Actually, can you just clarify for the audience what that is? Because there are several projects interconnected in Fall River.
Right. What most people are seeing now down along the waterfront, Route 79, is the first phase that involves the removal of the spaghetti ramps and the reconnection with Route 95. Phase 2 would be more focused on the creation of the boulevard that would lower Route 79 and kind of take away the mound that exists in the middle of Duval Street at this point. So this is a sort of 1-mile area that runs roughly from where the old Brightman Street Bridge is down to approximately the area of the Cove.
And it's just a small section, relatively speaking.
Right. Yes, it's about that 1-mile stretch, but this would be that area that would really, the city would really hope to open up access to the waterfront and also open up the roughly 10 acres for potential economic development.
That's right. Actually, I did talk to Ken recently about the Office of Economic Development getting involved with what kind of companies or businesses are going to be located down there. No news yet, obviously, but there is about 10 acres, like you said. And moving along now from that, the Weaver's Cove property has been sold. Can you give us some details?
Yeah, it's certainly been long awaited to see what could happen there. It's been almost 5 years since SLNG issued the notification that they were withdrawing their permit request for the proposed LNG terminal. But it appears the land has been purchased by William Thibault, who also purchased the former Montauk power station in Somerset, which ironically is right across the river. So it appears it's unknown at this point what his goals are for the Weaver's Cove site, but there could be some synergy opportunities with the Montauk site and something there.
That will be interesting because I understand that property is contaminated severely. It was sold for a relatively low price, but location with real estate is practically everything. Ken Fiola over at the Office of Economic Development office did tell me that he's hoping whatever the plans are for that site, that the apple cart, so to speak, is not disturbed because of that environmental problem. It's a big source of cleanup. A big cost for the new owners.
Certainly, in the immediate time frame after Hess had pulled their permit, there were task force and citizen groups that offered their suggestions for the use of that land. And also the state had kind of looked at it potentially as a layover site for South Coast Rail if that were to happen. But the contamination is going to be a huge issue for anything that happens over there, unless it's the type of industrial use that contaminated sites are a little more compliable with.
That's true, but they still have to do the EPA environmental impact report, which is costly. But we'll see what happens.
Right, cleanup is still going on there. They won't end cleanup of it, but it certainly affects reuse.
Absolutely. Well, moving on from economic development to police news. There was a stabbing incident near Talbot Middle School, and it was on the corner of Melrose and Stone Streets earlier this week, Monday, March 14th. And I know the Herald News has been covering that very well, by the way, all week long. Can you give us the update?
Yeah, it's following that stabbing on Monday afternoon. Certainly the focus has been on safety at the school. It appears there's a lot of safety protocols that are either being renewed over there, or as they're being reviewed, new protocols are being put into place, at least in the short term. Certainly school officials are kind of being tight-lipped in some cases in terms of how long some of these protocols will stay in place. That's understandable from a point of, you don't want to sort of notify those who could be looking to breach those kind of protocols, provide that type of information to them. So, it seems in the wake of this, safety is the big concern, and what's going to happen going forward, we'll have to find out.
But we should make sure that everyone knows that this stabbing incident occurred at the corner of Melrose and Stone Street, not directly at the school. I mean, we don't want to say that it's a school-related type incident in that sense, but I know they have the increased police presence, and there were 6 people apprehended. One was an 18-year-old Fall River man, Charles Brothers, and 5 juveniles, correct?
Correct. And, while the stabbing itself didn't take place on school property, the incident began on school property as some of these juveniles that have since been apprehended sought another teenager in a student who attends Talbot Middle School for what appears to be, from initial reports, a gang-related situation. So it's sort of a spillover effect from at least one student in the school that made its way to the corner across the street.
And what happened was that these juveniles and the 18-year-old surrounded the car of the victim, and when the driver got out to confront them, he was struck from behind and fell.
Yeah, he was assaulted from behind as this group circled him, and after being attacked from behind, he was then stabbed by another person, suffering 4 stab wounds, and taken to Rhode Island Hospital.
Yeah, he was taken to Rhode Island Hospital, where he was listed in a serious but stable condition, at least at the last report.
Right.
And there was also a choking incident at Talbot, right at the school, with a paraprofessional.
Yeah, this appeared to have happened at some point last week, where a substitute paraprofessional has been accused of choking a student there while sort of restraining the student by, for lack of a better term, kind of sitting on top of them. School resource officer at the school responded to the classroom where this was happening due to some noise coming from that area, and allegedly saw this as it was happening.
Now, the paraprofessional was not arrested, is that correct?
No, the paraprofessional has been summoned into court and is expected. He's got a date set for court next Friday currently.
And again, we'll see what happens in the court system. All right, Will, what's coming up in the news this week?
Well, coming up this weekend, we actually have a fun little look from Mark Monroe Dion about the sort of polarity of Peeps. People either seem to love or hate the Easter candy, so Mark, being one who loves them, went out and kind of took a look at how people feel about Peeps locally. So as Easter's coming up and you get your sweet tooth ready, here's one that people, like I said, seem to either love or hate.
That's absolutely right, because it's mostly pure sugar if you like sugar. But Easter is early this year, actually. So what else is up?
And then we'll be getting into the latest with the mayor's office and the move towards the potential privatization of sanitation. bids for that process should be reviewed as the review point is here, as well as the potential hire for a new DCM director.
Yes, that is on the table. That's very, very true. All right. Will, sorry. Well, thank you very much for your time. Have a great St. Patrick's Day. You plan on celebrating?
I'll pass for this year.
Yeah, me too. All right. We'll talk to you next week. Thank you very much.
Have a good week, Donna.
You too. We'll have more FRC Media News right after this. Welcome back. Michelle LaRanger serves as the director of the Bristol County Advocacy Center, located right here in Fall River. The CAV is a child abuse prevention agency that works in conjunction with several social service agencies in the area to educate both parents and guardians on just how to keep their children safe. LaRanger notes the CAV's partner community agencies and professionals she works with approves wholeheartedly with the educational material the CAV offers. We'll be right back after this break. Students wanting to pursue a higher education, or are already doing so, must remember to fill out the free FAFSA forms needed to receive financial aid if they so choose. The priority deadline here at BCC is April 1st, but that deadline does vary from college to college. Associate Director of BCC's Financial Aid Office, Ms. Brittany Pacheco-Ivanson, explains what happens once the forms are submitted online. The Fall River Chamber of Commerce and Industry held its annual Home and Garden Show recently, as we hear in this report. On another light topic in the news this week, Bristol Community College hosted a Science Awards ceremony recently. Here is Katie Mata with details. That's it for this edition of FRC Media News. You can catch FRC Media News Thursday and Friday at 6 p.m., but our online news site is available 24/7 at frcmedianews.org. We leave you today, by the way, with a comical bit of information that debunks the myths surrounding St. Paddy's Day.